Coming up this weekend, we journey to Montana to fish with the nation's largest landlord, Cy Jamieson, Director of the Bureau of Land Management. We'll also be fishing Montana's Fort Peck Reservoir. And on the same show, Ducks Unlimited Executive Director Matt Conley joins us for walleye fishing and goose hunting. All this weekend, right here.
There's one.
Oh, terrific.
That's a walleye.
Yeah, it's an walleye. You bet it is. Yeah, look at that.
Not a real big one, but...
That's a nice looking fish, though.
There it is, Western Reservoir walleye. And I'll tell you, when it comes to walleye fishing in America today, I think the Western reservoirs are probably the finest fisheries. Hi, everybody. Welcome aboard. I'm Tony Dean. We really have a special guest today. He's the nation's largest landlord. Stay where you're at. You're going to enjoy him. Cy Jamieson, head of the BLM, is our guest. We'll be right back.
Our show is brought to you by North Dakota Tourism Promotion. Discover the spirit in North Dakota. Bass Buster Lures. Crestliner Boats. At Crestliner, the innovations just keep on coming. By Minn Kota, the quiet power that catches fish. South Dakota Tourism. Great faces, great places. Mitchell Reels. Evinrude Outboards, the outboard more people rely on. By Johnson Reels. Northland Fishing Tackle, quality baits in the bright yellow package, and by Northwest Territories. Our show is also brought to you by these manufacturers. Hey, if you like walleye fishing, trust me on this one. Honestly, the best and most consistent walleye fishing we know of takes place in western reservoirs. And this reservoir, Montana's Fort Peck, is perhaps the most lightly fished of all. It's the first of 6 huge reservoirs on the Missouri River and is located in northeastern Montana. My guest today is Cy Jamieson, Director of the Bureau of Land Management, an agency that oversees vast tracts of public land across the western states.
You know, Cy, I introduced you at the beginning as the nation's largest landlord, as head of the BLM. You really, truly are.
Yes, I'm very fortunate to be President Bush to appoint me to this position, BLM Director. I happen to be on some water now. BLM doesn't have a lot of that, but we do have a lot of fishable streams, like almost 155,000 miles of it, a lot of that in Alaska. Really having a great time here today, and this is a good experience, my first with you, and also our thanks to you for helping us in the Interior Department kick out Fishing Has No Boundaries.
Reading between the lines in the newspaper and so forth, I sense a new BLM.
Well, I like to say that too, and I compare us to the new Chrysler Corporation. In the past, BLM has been well known for being working very well with like the livestock industry, oil and gas industry, and the mining industry. And there's nothing wrong with that, and we'll continue to do that. But also, I think it's about time that we in BLM give the other side of the equation a fair shake, and that's fisheries and wildlife. Fisheries, what we're doing here today. Also, cultural resources is very important, and also recreation, which is also what we're doing here today. So I think there's enough room in this nation, especially in the BLM, where we have 270 million surface acres, and gosh knows what's all out there for people to do. And I just think that if we give that other side of the equation a fair shake, America's going to be better of it.
Yep. I got one here, Cy.
Good for you.
Good fish, too.
Tony, need some help on that one? Oh, yeah, that's a nice one. Good for you.
Pull him up.
Oh, that's a nice one. Oh, that is nice. There.
Deep below the surface, suspended in the eternal twilight, lies North Dakota's most elusive natural resource. These are riches that cannot be mined, bounty that can't be bought or stolen. There is only one way to acquire these treasures. You have to catch them.
I've seen other electric motors spook fish, and I've seen schools of fish swim right under my boat while running my Minn Kota. No wonder 7 out of 10 fishermen choose Minn Kota. For the quiet power that catches fish.
What's about to trigger this fish to strike isn't a scent or a lure. It's a reel, the only fishing reel with built-in action. Rapid jerking action that telegraphs a low-frequency vibration through the line all the way to your bait. Action fish sense and strike. It's the revolutionary Jerk from Johnson Reels with rapid jerking action that makes fish strike.
Serious fishermen tend to be picky about a lot of things. That's why we've created the Evinrude Intruder. All new from the prop to the engine cover. Smaller, lighter, and quieter. Still, there's 158 cubes packed into the all-new powerhead. In its class, nothing can touch it. At Evinrude, we know that the catching is at least half the fun. Getting there ought to be the other half. The all-new Intruder at your Evinrude dealer. Northland Fish and Tackle.
Catch big bass, lunker, muskie, and pike. Fish the Jawbreaker spoon, Reed Runner spinnerbait, and bionic bucktail. Northland Fishing Tackle, the fisherman's favorite.
Who's got the innovations you want? Crestliner. The innovations just keep on coming.
Welcome back to Montana's Fort Peck Reservoir. Our guest, Cy Jamison, director of the BLM.
I started as the lowest man on the totem pole in the BLM, a GS3 at one time, as a fire control aide, working right here in Montana. I worked myself up through that and into public affairs here for about 10 years. Then I went to work for Congressman Marley on Capitol Hill. I worked on the House Interior Committee for about 10 years. And now I've been very fortunate and had the honor, as President Bush appointed me to this position. The White House asked us to write down 3 choices when we were coming on board when Bush took over, and my first choice was BLM, and the President gave it to me. So I basically come home, and it's just been an honor, and it's been a really exciting times to do it, and I think we're making a lot of changes, and all of them for the positive.
With the new focus on outdoor recreation in America through all the agencies of Interior, and particularly BLM, what's it mean to people who hunt and fish?
The American public really doesn't care what the patch on the shoulder says, whether it's recreation or wildlife. They want to make sure that their resource is being taken care of and that they have a safe and enjoyable experience, whether it's fishing or riding a trail bike or hiking or whatever comes along. And I think what the Bush administration has brought to town is that we bring emphasis to that. We've put our money where our mouth is. We've increased our budgets in these areas. I don't use that as a total mark of whether you're doing things right or wrong, but I think in the next several years we've put together all the strategic plans and went all through all the hoops of that sort of thing, and now I think we can really start seeing things happen on the ground, because we're going to move those dollars instead of being eaten up by the bureaucrats in Washington and other levels of the organization. We're going to put them here on the ground and along these waters so people can have more access and also have that safe and enjoyable experience.
Well, going from a small town outside of Billings in Montana to the nation's capital has got to be quite a change. What's it mean to Cy Jamison to be able to spend the day out on a gorgeous reservoir like this?
Tony, and I don't mean to be facetious when I say this, is it means I'm not crazy. I think you have to get out of Washington, D.C. You have to get back to where the people are and the resources are to see what's really happening out there, and also is to relate those back to the hinterland. And when I mean the hinterland, I mean to Capitol Hill and into the administration. Many times I think people get too comfortable in Washington. They lose perspective of who they're really sent there to serve, and I just don't want that to happen to me. And every chance I get, whether it's here in my home state of Montana, in the big sky country, or anywhere else, I think it does a lot of good just to get out and see the resource and see the people that are actually working it.
Say this Fort Peck's really a treat to fish. Great big impoundment, lots of beautiful scenery and lots of fish. And to let you get to know the area better, I want to introduce you to a former college classmate of Si's, a former school teacher, and one of the very few guides on this big lake, in an area rich in wildlife and on a lake full of fish.
We've got lake trout and salmon, walleye, sauger, perch, smallmouth bass, just about anything you want to fish.
The lake trout fishery's got to be one of the best on the North American continent. I mean, you guys really take some big lake trout here. Tell me more about it.
It's come on strong in the last 15, 20 years. We're taking lake trout anywhere from 10 to 30, 35 pounds.
What if someone wanted to plan a trip here, George, for lake trout with a real shot at some of those big fish? What would you call peak times?
I would start probably the first or second week in May, and they usually are on a run until then, maybe 30 days after that they start, and you can fish them all year through the summer. You just have to fish deeper for them. And then again in about October, they'll start their run, a big run, and it'll last 5 or 6 weeks.
Now, I've always felt, George, that the western reservoirs probably had the finest walleye fishing in America today. And this is probably the most untouched fishery of the bunch. Tell me about the walleyes and saugers here.
And they're going to run anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds. And they're right in there with the walleye.
And there's no best time?
There's no best time for them. Just get out there and get them.
Real aggressive fish.
Yeah, they'll hit a lot harder than some of the walleye.
George, you're one of the few working professional fishing guides here on Fort Peck, but your season doesn't end with fishing, does it? You go into the fall.
Start out with archery season. About the second week in September, we're starting with antelope archery, and then towards the third and fourth week of September, elk season opens up and deer, and we're rolling, and then it runs on into the rifle season. And you can take some fantastic animals here.
That's a good idea. A lot of times walleyes, northern smallmouths will lay right up on the windy side of those reefs. You might get bit up there.
I would hope so.
Hey, what do you got there?
I don't know yet. Let's take a look here.
Am I going to need the net for this?
Oh, look at this. What's that jewel?
I don't know. Yeah, I'll bet it's a northern. Oh, it's a nice northern.
Oh, look at that jewel. Oh, my first one out of Fort Peck, and I'm a lifelong Montana. Look at that baby go. Oh, boy. Well, this, comes to the he who wait.
You're really handling that fish well. You're taking wherever he wants to go.
When you're with the BLM, you have to do that. No, this is. Oh, look at that! Hey, look at that baby.
Oh, that's a beautiful
fish. Oh, that's
fish,
beautiful. Oh, look at that! Woo! Oh, he's running now. Oh boy! Come on out of there. Let's take another swipe past the net here, fella. It must be a Democrat.
That's a nice fish.
Oh, it is. It's a beauty. Look at that. Here he is. Look at that. Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, terrific, terrific.
Oh, it's a nice fish, Si.
That's beautiful.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
look at that baby.
That is nice, isn't it? That is a beautiful northern. Si Jamison, our guest today. I want to thank him for being with us. You stay tuned. There's more to follow.
Hi, my name is Chad Hall. I'm from Elgona, Iowa. I'm the all-time leading money winner on the Cabela's In Fisherman Professional Walleye Trail, and I can't think of a better way to spend a day than out fishing.
There's one.
Stick 'em.
See if I can just flip him in the boat. I can. There we go. Fall, what a great time of the year. In fact, the month of October, one of those times when, golly, you don't know whether to take the fishing rod or the shotgun and a bag of decoys or what. But fall's a great time of the year to fish walleyes. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Dean. I want to welcome you aboard. My guest today, a guy who really is one of the real movers and shakers in the effort to restore our duck populations to mid-1970 levels. Stay where you're at. I'll be back with Matt Conley, Executive Director of Ducks Unlimited, after this.
We're going to cut off the hook to make a point. Fish may bite on plastic, but they'll spit it out faster than you can say, set the hook. Now watch what happens to a genuine beetle spin with its new 83% fish food body. Fish won't spit it out. They'll hold on and hold on and hold on, giving you more time to set the hook, if you had a hook. Genuine beetle spin, 83% fish food, so fish hold on, hooks included.
There are days when the fish are coming tough, when you might get just a few strikes all day, when a Hagen rod makes all the difference in the world. Rods with ESP, extra sensitive perception. Light, balanced, and extra sensitive. At fine sporting goods stores, or call this number to get the name of the dealer nearest you. Here's a family fishing getaway that won't cost a bundle. South Dakota's state parks and campgrounds. Mountain trout fishing in Custer State Park. Big walleyes and smallmouth bass in the Missouri River. Panfish and walleyes in the glacial lakes. South Dakota. Great faces, great fishing places.
Here's your chance to save on all your fishing tackle needs. Dakota Mart's new spring catalog. It's 68 pages of values, rods, reels, lures, and equipment to help you catch more fish this year. Call this toll-free number, 1-800-382-2553 to get your new spring catalog full of super buys. Dakota Mart's catalog and specials are just a phone call away, 1-800-382-2553. Catch this opportunity to save and catch more fish this summer with new tackle and equipment from Dakota Mart in Pierre, South Dakota.
From Big John, downrigger fishing at a price you can afford in any small boat. The Gadabout rigger for conventional mounting, or the Runabout, a fit-anywhere downrigger. From Big John, makers of quality downriggers for over a quarter century.
Northland Fish and Tackle.
Catch big walleyes with deadly jigs and rigs like the Fireball, Phelps Floater, or Roach Rig. Northland Fishing Tackle, the fisherman's favorite.
There we go. Ah, that's a better fish. Nothing wrong with that, Matthew.
Looks great.
I marked a whole bunch of fish there right as we came across that thing. We'll keep a few of these.
You know, one of the beauties of the outdoors is that there's so much more to it than just catching fish or bagging birds.
Oh, those are big ones, too. Big birds.
It's just being out there on an autumn day when the air is brisk enough to force you to wear gloves and heavy clothing. It's seeing the colors of fall, feeling the cold October wind in your face, good conversation with good friends, punctuated often by the sights and sounds of a season in change.
I always wondered how a bird that can migrate in circles can be so challenging.
How can it ever get anywhere?
Another big batch behind him there.
Way up high?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fish.
That one? Oh, good going, Matt.
Same age class.
Got a nice walleye.
Okay.
Now, that's a unique
Put 'em
thing
back?
about fall. You can, we can go ahead and keep a few of those.
Okay.
They're not bad eating. In fact, they're pretty darn good.
Oh, it's cool. The air temperature's in the 30s, but I'll tell you, all the essentials are here. Migrating waterfowl, good camaraderie, and the fish? Well, if your outlook's right, they're just a bonus.
There we go.
Hey, way to go, Matt.
Well, the little guy. But it beats the alternative, doesn't it?
It sure does. Those are great
Whoops.
eating-sized fish.
It's a good thing he wasn't much bigger, because he just broke himself off here.
Oh, that's a good hook set. You really drove her through there.
Put this guy back.
Ah, we can eat that fish. That's decent. That's the size we really ought to keep for eating, and toss anything in that, 2.5 to 6 pound bracket back. These are all mostly males. You know, the fish are migrating upstream now. They always do this time of the year, and the males are about the first ones to head toward the spawning grounds, and we always end up with a big influx of those smaller males in this area, and later on big females move through, but the males come first. And these are the ones you can harvest without hurting anything.
This walleye bite was pretty good while it lasted, but we got a few walleyes in the well, at least enough for a tasty meal this evening.
What a great time of the year. You know, watching those ducks and geese fly up and down the river, I think we've had a pretty good influx of birds over the past 2 or 3 days. We haven't had many in the area until now, but there's a pretty good front north of us. What do you say we load up the boat and run north of town and see if we can do a little bit of scouting and maybe find some geese we could hunt in the morning?
That sounds like a great idea, Tony. It feels like a little snow in the air, and I'll bet you're right. There will be some birds moving in.
A half hour later, we were watching a typical October scene. Lots of birds, ducks and geese of all species on a small wetland. You know, scouting's a big part of successful waterfowl hunting. You've got to spend time watching these birds to determine which fields they'll choose to use that afternoon. And then you want to be set up there with your decoys the following morning. Soon flocks of ducks and geese started to move. The afternoon feeding period was about to begin. Now it was just a matter of watching them to see which fields they'd choose. Say, did I not say at the outset that the experience of being out here is at least as important as catching fish and bagging game? Even though the pheasant season's open, just the sight of these birds, along with ducks and geese, made being there something special. CRP cover's done wonders for soil conservation and wildlife, and I often wonder what's going to happen when this program ends. The next morning, we set up our decoys, combination of big Magnum field decoys and another dozen or so of Bigfoot decoys. We put them in 2 separate groups. But the geese would have nothing to do with us. They weren't a bit impressed by Matt Conley of Ducks Unlimited, and certainly not with the fact they might be on television. In fact, I think you could say they ignored us and set their sights instead on identical fields 20 miles away. And then, to add a bit of waterfowl insult to hopeful hunter injury, the few that did choose our field, more than a few actually, picked the spot several hundred yards away. For both Matt Conley and myself, it wasn't the first time waterfowl outsmarted us, and it probably won't be the last. But still, just being there, reward enough, because when nature puts on a show, it can be awesome, and we watched it from the comfort of our blinds.
Now, I've often thought October ought to last about 120 days. Honest to gosh, you know, we fished yesterday, and late in the day we came out, we scouted this field, we set up exactly where the birds were landing, and all it proves, once again, is that there are no guarantees in the outdoor world, and I guess we wouldn't want it any other way. I want to introduce you to Matt Conley. Matt's the executive director at Ducks Unlimited, and Matt, you've been working with the North American Waterfowl Management Plan, one of the key players in it, and there's no question our duck population is in perilous condition right now. How do you see the future right now?
Well, a year ago, Tony, we talked about this, and I was in pretty strong spirits about it, but right now I have a lot of concern about it because the economy has gotten so soft, and traditionally when that occurs, conservation programs begin to suffer.
You know, one of the things, Matt, that a lot of people were concerned about when the North American Plan actually was unfolded a couple years ago was the money. Where's the money going to come from? And that is the problem right now, isn't it?
We were looking for a hopeful $15 million appropriation from Congress, and it wasn't coming. The monies that more than likely that will be coming for the plan will come, curiously enough, out of the Exxon Valdez settlement. And we'll probably see close to another $30 million available for the North American Plan. And that's so crucial because those dollars are dollars that are parlayed up against state dollars and other federal dollars and private sector dollars and corporate dollars, and it's one of the greatest programs that's ever happened in wildlife because it has brought people together jointly, working as partners.
Well, the joint venture concept of the North American Plan is all well and good, but what direction are we going to head in if we don't get those dollars? Are we going to be able to do the things on the land that have to be done? Are we going to be able to continue to work with landowners in an effort to restore duck populations? Well, I guess what I'm getting at, Matt, is what is there that someone who cares about ducks can do at this point?
We need to look for a continued commitment on the part of the government, particularly the federal government. And I think it's up to us, all of us who have an interest in conservation, to see that that happens. But we can't always look to the government for all the answers in this business. And we need to also look, more importantly, to private landowners and to look for a greater number of partnerships there and working with private landowners who for years have exhibited stewardship on their lands and can work now, I think, as one with others toward making certain that there is a place for wildlife in their agenda and all of our agendas. And I think we're beginning to see some of that happen. And I think that we are just on the brink of some good, innovative programs and working with the private and public sectors together as individual landowners become more important to this whole thing.
No matter where you live, if you care about waterfowl and the future of our waterfowl flocks, and not only waterfowl but all wildlife, because wetland habitats are good for so many different species, I think you owe it to yourself to stay in touch with your elected representatives, congressmen, senators, and you have one representing you or several representing you wherever you live. Drop them a note. Let them know how you feel about what's happening with the North American Waterfowl Management Plan. Tell them what's at stake and how you feel about it, and find out how they feel about it.
I've seen other electric motors spook fish, and I've seen schools of fish swim right under my boat while running my Minn Kota. No wonder 7 out of 10 fishermen choose Minn Kota. For the quiet power that catches fish.
For more than 2 decades, Storm's Hottentot has been deadly on walleyes and other game fish. And now the next generation, the Rattle Tot. From Storm Lures, more deadly than ever.
Oh, Ed, you got the tackle boxes, right?
Right.
And the net.
Yep.
The trilene?
I got fishing line.
Ed, we ain't going fishing without Berkeley Trilene.
Berkeley Trilene, America's #1 selling fishing line.
Who's got the innovations you want? Crestliner. The innovations just keep on coming.
Northland Fish and Tackle.
Catch slab panfish, whopper walleyes, lunker muskie and northern pike, or hog bass. Northland Fishing Tackle, fisherman's favorite.